My question is Mr. Mueller. So you made a couple of recommendations, one of which is the creation of a sufficiently resource enterprise level cost estimating capability. And second, the development of a streamlined early acquisition model. For the vets who are listening in, who don't speak your language, can you please explain that in layman's term?
Sure. So before you stand up a program, there's a certain amount of analytical activity that should happen prior to that. And that's where you understand your mission need, you start to understand your requirements and look at your options of how do you fulfill this need. And part of that is you want to obviously determine what is going to be the cost to do this, an initial understanding of that cost estimate. And so you need this analytical activity paired with the capability to complete those estimates. And just to go back to that analytical activity, that would be made up of users that use the system, be your contracting people, your contracting professionals, the business leaders that are responsible for operating it, the IT organization. All these different skill sets come together to help bring this program to life in an informed way so decision makers can make an informed decision and have an idea of what the cost is going to be. And all of this contributes to a better contract, a better acquisition activity as well. So in the most layman's terms I can put it is you're bringing people that understand the ingredients to bring to a great meal so you can have a good meal.
I asked that question, right, because we're talking about how do we look at contract reforms and acquisitions reform. And I think I was reading Mr. Park's testimony, and he suggests that baseline estimates should include known and unknowns, right? And in this process, right, to include future legal mandates, because the VA has pointed out that there are different components that needs to be tinkered with given all these lawsuits, and that has to be all accounted for. And so where does that fit in with regards to just the contracting process, and who should bear that risk? Because some of this cost inflation is directly attributed to that.
Sure. So the early analytical activity will give you what the requirements are known in that moment and what's the objective for that system. Where this issue, where what Mr. Park brought up comes into play, the known unknowns is actually in a cost estimate. You develop an LCCE, and I want to be clear about an LCCE, not an independent government cost estimate for a contract. For the bigger program LCCE, you account for that in the range and sensitivity analysis. However, you can only account for so much. There are just some of those unknowns you're not going to know. So it comes down to how much do you budget for if you think about the range. So if we say that we have a confidence level of $1 value and we have a range, do you have to budget more on the other side? So normally GAO says budget at the 50% confidence level to account for some of that.